Let's make the Edelweiss hat. I love this hat. It is so nice. I love it stretchy, and it's got this great little delicate flower look detail to it, but it's kind of a unisex hat with a great little texture. It's just soft and squishy. So this hat is 5 sizes. It goes from toddler to a large adult, and we're going to make this today. You can use circulars, but I'm also using DPN, so I'm going to use 5 double pointed needles, and you can join me today on Good Knit Kisses and we'll make it together. Get the hat pattern down below. Welcome to Good Knit Kisses. We're all about helping you stitch your love and love your stitches. This Edelweiss hat is found down in the links below. You can get the pattern and supplies there. We're working with the medium 4-weight yarn, and we're going to be working with US 8 or 5 millimeter needles, and I'm working with 5 of the double pointed needles or DPNs. You can work with circulars as well. And this one actually is kind of fun because they're shorter circulars with a long cord, and they work in the round really well when you start to do the decrease on the hat. So we're going to cast on. We'll do your brim and the main stitch pattern plus the decreased top here. Okay, we're going to shape the top together all in this video today. All right, let's grab our supplies and we'll begin. We're going to do our long tail cast on, and we're going to cast on to 4 needles, so you can set aside your 5th one. And we're going to spread these out evenly across each needle, multiplied by 8. So each of these hats is all divisible by 8, so you're just going to spread them out over your 4 DPNs that way. I'm going to cast on 64 for the smallest one, which is the toddler size. The child size is 72 cast on, 80 for the small, 88 for the medium, and 88 for the large. So I'm going to pull out a couple of yards for my tail, make my slip knot, and we're going to cast on. So if you need a long tail cast on video, casting on in the round, I have a video down at the links below. This is how I begin. I'm going to have one on here. I'm going to grab our yarn and split that up, go up at the thumb, down at the finger, down at the thumb, and let it go. Up, down, down, let it go, and continue on. And for the small one, I'm going to do 16 on my first needle, and I'll show you how I get these started. Again, there's another video that's slower. For those of you who like to go ahead, we're going to cast on in the round and do a 2x2 ribbing all the way around, so you can go ahead and do that. So we've got 4, 8, another 4, another 8. Okay, so I've got 16 on here, and so now I'm going to grab my next needle and put it right in front, and then cast onto that one, ignoring this one in the back, making sure that they're nice and snugged up. They're still the same distance, and just being careful to only work with this needle here. And then you just keep doing that and get all 4 of them on there. Pause your video and I'll meet you back up to show joining in the round. We'll see you in one moment. All right, I'm going to connect these DPNs in the round. So what I'm going to do is just pick up this end over here that doesn't have the stitches and put it on top of the next one that does. And then we're going to take both of these together and move them at the same time, doing that over at this end. Okay, and just continue to turn it, and then pick these up and turn it. And now you can see where we're going to connect these two in the round. And I've got my stitch marker handy. Now you can start knitting and working these 2 stitches together to make the first round, but I like to connect them by switching the first and the last stitch, and then it puts my first stitch marker in there easily to connect those. So I'm going to come up here and get these 2 stitches put together, and go ahead and slide my DPNs to where they're in the center and they're not going to come off. Okay, so I've got my working yarn here, and this one that gets connected. I'm going to go ahead and take the first one off and hold it, and then slip the last one on to that first DPN. And then now put the first one on as the last, and then tighten that up. So with your stitch marker, go ahead and place it on this DPN here, and go ahead and work your first stitch to get it on this DPN over here, and it's just going to keep that stitch marker in place for a moment. And then now let's go ahead and grab our free needle, and now you can work your pattern for the brim. So what we're going to be making is a 2x2 brim or ribbing, and we're going to knit 2, purl 2. Okay, so you've already knit this first stitch, so you're going to take your free needle and knit the next stitch, and then we want to put our yarn forward and purl. One, 2, and put our yarn to the back and knit 2. So you're going to continue working all the way around, knitting 2, purling 2, and continue working rounds so that you have, according to your pattern, the length that you need for your size. So you're going to work 1.5 inches for the small 3 sizes, the toddler, the child size, and the small, and then 2 inches for the medium and the large. All right, so continue going around. Pause your video, and I'll meet you back up at that to start the Edelweiss stitch. We'll see you soon. Your ribbing should start working up like this, and you're going to knit until 1.5 inches for the smaller 3 sizes, and then 2 inches for the larger 2 sizes. Go ahead and make the last 2 stitches that are purl on the very first of this DPN here, right before your stitch marker, and you'll see why it comes in handy when we're doing our Edelweiss stitch. So go ahead and continue that. Pause your video, and I will meet you back up when I've got a lot more knitting done on my Edelweiss stitch, but it's really just the first round for you, and now you have your stitch marker all set up in the right spot. All right, pause your video, and I will meet you there. For Edelweiss in the round, it's similar to the 4-row repeat. You will be having a round of knit stitches for the first round and the third round. And every other row for the second and fourth round, it's going to shift. And we'll do our first round of knitting. So go ahead and knit 1 round, pause your video, and I will see you for the second round. See you then. Okay, so let me finish out these last 2 stitches, and we'll begin the second round actually. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and slip my stitch marker, and we're going to knit 1. Just like in the flat panel, we're knitting 1. And if you did that one before, we're going to do the same as we did before, where we are working these 2 stitches together as a purl 2 together and then a knit 2 together. So go ahead and put your yarn forward, and we're going to go into both of these stitches just like to purl. Yarn over, push that new stitch through, making that new stitch there. Put our yarn to the back, so you're going in between these 2 needles, and move our needle in the front of that to knit them together. So knit these 2 stitches together, and then drop off the 2 old stitches. Okay, so we just made 2 new stitches here and dropped out the old, and it makes this little stitch down here. Okay, it starts making that little flower. All right, so we're going to yarn forward, and we're going to work these next 2 stitches again. So we are purling 2 together, and then in the same stitch knitting 2 together. So there's purl 2 together, yarn to the back, and then knit the same 2 stitches together without dropping them off that needle, and then we drop them off. So you're going to continue working around in pairs. Go all the way around, and then when you have one stitch remaining, you're going to pause your video. So you'll be down at this end. I'll just wait until we have one stitch remaining on our DPNs, which means we have actually 3 left, and you'll see what we do there. All right, pause your video, and I'll meet you at the end of this needle. See you soon. I do want to show you something before we get to the end of this round. You can see how I have 1 stitch left on my first DPN, and I'm just going to slip it over and then go ahead and move my new needle into place and slip that stitch back over to the next needle, and then I can work these 2 stitches together. So you will have a bit of moving some of these stitches back and forth over on your DPNs just so that you can work them more easily in pairs. So I just wanted you to see how to do that. So moving on to the next DPN, we're just going to make sure our yarn is forward, go into those 2 stitches, purl them together, swing our yarn in between the 2 needles, and then knit them together and continue. All right, we'll see you when you have 4 stitches left on your needles for the end of round 2. Pause your video and I'll see you there. Okay, so I have my last DPN. The next one has the 2 stitches left and then my stitch marker, but the technically the last DPN is this one. It has 3 stitches here. So we actually have 5 stitches left in the row. Let's go ahead and still work these in pairs. And if you're not used to working with DPNs, you just ignore these other ones here and just keep working with the new one as it unloads here. So we're just working these 2 stitches together again. Here we go. Okay, and now I have 1 stitch left on this needle. Let's go ahead and transfer it over as we've done before. We're going to put it over here on this one, which is our beginning one again. And now I've got my empty DPN. And we can work, there's 3 stitches left. We can work these first 2 stitches like we've been doing. Okay, so now when we have 1 stitch left, we are going to work this last pair together. Well, what it is it's the last stitch and then the first stitch as another pair. So we're going to put our yarn forward. We're going to slip this stitch, next stitch purlwise, and take off the marker, and then we can place this back on here. And now we're going to work these 2 stitches and purl the 2 together. And after we create our new stitch, you can go ahead and put on your stitch marker again, and then now put your yarn to the back and knit those 2 stitches together. And then you have completed round 2. Okay, so then now for round 3, all you're going to be doing is knitting all the way around the remaining stitches. So the first one is actually already knit because you just worked it. So you're just going to continue working all the way around all stitches. Pause your video. When we meet back up, we'll work round 4, which is actually much easier. All right, pause your video. I will see you there. Coming to the end of round 3, and I'm going to go ahead and knit this very first stitch on our last needle. Okay, so I have 3 stitches at the end. I just wanted to move this other one over because what we're going to do in this next round is work in pairs beginning after the placed marker. So go ahead and knit these first 2 stitches. They're technically the last 2 stitches before the end of the round. Work them on this first needle. Okay, slip the marker. And now we can begin round 4, which is working in pairs throughout. So you're going to be purling 2 and knitting 2 stitches together in the same stitch all the way around, and it will work out evenly to where these last 2 stitches here are worked in a pair as well. So there's no moving around of those stitches. So go ahead and work that pattern. Yarn forward and purl 2 stitches together, and knitting 2 stitches together in the same stitch. Pause your video, and I'll see you after this round. See you soon. One last quick tip: when you're coming to the end of a DPN and you have one stitch left, I just want to suggest you go ahead and switch that over and work it without the fresh empty needle just yet. Go ahead and get these 2 stitches over. So go ahead and work those 2, purling 2 together, knitting 2 together. Oops. There we go. Oops. I have got a yarn over. Haha, did you see that? Okay, so purling 2 together and then knitting 2 together. And then that way your stitch count is divisible by 8, or at least for mine it's divisible by 8. So I have all these pairs over here. Otherwise you're just going to keep moving stitches over and over and then get it all unevenly loaded if you're working with DPNs. Okay, continue working and I will see you at the end of that round. See you soon. So I'm at the end of my round. I have 2 more stitches left, and I'm going to work that in a pair as well. But before I do, I just want to point out that you are going to be repeating rounds 1 through 4 to work the Edelweiss stitch. And if you do have to put your work down, I recommend actually just ending right here, and you can even leave these 2 stitches on. And when you examine your work and pick it back up, you can see that you just in fact worked around 4, because you can see these pairs sticking out really well, and know that then you'll go right into a round 1 after that. So this is just a really great place to stop because you've got your stitch marker right on there, and you're ready to just put that away if you have to. So after you complete your round 4, of course you're repeating all of your rounds 1 through 4 until you get to the desired length. So repeating rounds 1 through 4 in Edelweiss stitch until the work from the very beginning measures approximately 5.5 inches for the toddler, 6 inches for the child, 6.5 for the small, 7 for the medium, and 7.5 for the large. And you can of course go a little bit longer if you like, in making something like a slouchy or something. It is going to be more of a fitted hat, and of course it is stretchy. This is going to be a longer shaped top. It's not a quick reduction of stitches, so it will make it a little bit longer for you because this is a stretchy hat. So we're going to start shaping at the beginning of the round. So go ahead and work those lengths, pause your video until you get to this point, and we'll meet back for shaping the top. Okay, we're going to look at the pattern here, and of course I just went over that you're going to get to the measurement of 5.5 for the toddler, 6 for the child, 6.5 for the small, 7 for the medium, and 7.5 for the large. And then of course those are the sizes in the centimeters. And now we're on to shape top. So we've done our Edelweiss stitch and we're ready to decrease. So I have a note here about adding stitch markers if you want to use that to help you know these numbers and know where our decreases are, but it's not necessary. If you are going to use this, I suggest that your very beginning of the round marker is different colored than these. Okay, so it looks different. You can tell the difference between the beginning of the round and decreases. So for round 1, we're going to knit a number of stitches and then decrease and repeat that all the way around. And it's going to decrease all of our stitches in these sizes this amount. So for the smallest size, which I'm working on, I'm going to knit 6. And for the other sizes, you're going to either knit 7, 8, 9, or 10, and then you're going to knit 2 stitches together, and we're going to repeat, and it's going to decrease your stitches to this new stitch count down here. So it's going to take off 8 stitches all the way around. And then all the subsequent rounds, every other round, you're going to see that it diminishes by 1. Okay, so I'm going to go over each round as we go so that you'll see this, but I want you to see what it looks like in the written form. So we're going to work on knit whatever your number is. Mine's going to be 6, and then I'm going to decrease. And then every other round, we're going to knit, and that's just reinforcing our stitches, just knitting, no decreasing. All right, so let's do that now. Okay, because I had 2 stitches left, I'm going to finish this last of the round 4. So I'm going to purl 2 together, knit 2 together. Okay, slip my marker. All right, now we're going to begin this pattern where we're going to work a number of stitches and then decrease. So I'm going to knit 6 for my size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then you would knit 7, 8, 9, or 10 for the other 4 sizes. And then now I'm going to take these two that are together and we're just going to knit them together. Okay, and if you had a marker done, you would have a marker here, and then you'll just slip that marker and then start repeating again. So this is knit 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then knit 2 together. And then keep going. So just keep repeating that all the way around in that circle, and then you're going to knit a round after that. All right, pause your video and I'll meet you back up. All right, we're on for round 3. So round 2 was just knitting all the way around, and then round 3 is knit 5 and then decrease for the smallest, or 6, 7, 8, 9 for the other sizes. So if you are the child size, you can jump to the beginning for round 1 and then kind of follow it through for there. So go ahead and knit your number. So that's knit 5 for the toddler. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then knit 2 together and continue on. If you've divided evenly, then you should be able to work basically to the middle and decrease, and then work to the end and then decrease. The only exception would be at the beginning of this first DPN, where you have a different number of stitches because of trying to keep the stitch marker on here. So anyway, just continue on. Again, this round is 5 for the toddler, 6 for the child, 7 for the medium, the small, 8 for the medium, and 9 for the adult, the large adult. Go ahead and knit your round after this one. All right, ready for round 5. Already worked these last 2 stitches for that round where I knit, and now we're going to knit 4 for this round for the smallest size, 5 for the next, 6 for the next, and 7, 8 for the last 2. So if you are on the small size, you can go to round 1 and follow that to this point. All right, so I've got 4. We're knitting 2 together. This should be the middle of my stitches, or the middle of my DPN. Knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and knit 2 together. So continue knitting your number and then decreasing, and again make a round in between. You can see right here where it's starting to show the decrease, where it's making that little slant. So you should have 2 sort of wedges forming on each of your DPNs, or on your circulars, just 8 of them going all the way around. All right, pause your video and I will see you back up for round 7. We'll see you soon. Okay, so for round 7, you're going to be knitting 3, 1, 2, 3, and knit 2 together, and repeat. So for the other sizes, you're going to be knitting 4, 5, 6, and 7. And if you were on the medium size, then you're knitting 6, which is the same as beginning of round 1. So again, if you need to rewind to that and then kind of follow it from here on out, that will work well too. So go ahead and work that round decreasing, then knit your round around, and we will meet you back up at round 9. See you in a moment. All right, so round 9 is where we're at. So I'm going to put this down and look at my directions. So you can see in round 9, we're knitting 2 and then 3, 4, 5, and 6 for the other sizes. So you see this 6 here for the largest size. That's the same as if you started knitting like I did in the beginning from round 1. So you're going to start seeing directions that are really repetitive here for working in the end of your hat. Because we're going to get down to it. When you see knit X, that means you're actually done with yours, or 0, you're only going to be knitting 0 there, and you're just going to start working just the decreases. So if you have done the large size, go ahead and jump back up to 6, and you can follow it down to this point. So now for round 9, we're going to knit 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, and then knit 2 together and repeat. So all these numbers at the end here is where you should be on your stitch count when you're finishing that round. And that's a great place to double check that you're at the right spot. All right, so go ahead and work this round, knitting 2 together all the way around, and repeating your knit round in between. All right, pause your video and I'll meet you here. See you soon. All right, round 11, after we've done our knit row of 10, we're going to knit 1 and then decrease. So knit 1 and decrease. So for the other sizes, of course, this is the smaller size. So if you've already rewound and gone back to the 6 for the other sizes, then you should be at this right spot. Again, this is knit 1 and then knit 2 together and repeat all the way around. Or the other sizes are 2, 3, 4, or 5 knits. So at the end of this round, you should end with 16 stitches if you've done the whole rewind thing, or at these other stitches for the other sizes, 24, 32, 40, or 48 stitches. So continue repeating, and I'll meet you back after you make your knit round again, and we'll be at this point here. All right, pause your video. I'll see you there. Okay, so we're at the point where we have 16 stitches on our needles, basically 4 on each DPN. Let's jump over to the instructions. And we're at round 13, knit 0 and knit 2 together. So basically we're knitting 2 together and repeating all around to decrease to 8. So if you were on the other sizes, you continue going knit 1, knit 2 together, and repeat either 1, 2, 3, or 4 for the other sizes. But of course, if you had rewound and moved down to here and paused for the larger sizes, you'd get down to this point too. So eventually you get down to here, and then we're going to knit 2 together until we have 8 left, and then we're going to break the yarn and leave the long tail and continue with the finishing instruction, which is basically pulling all the remaining stitches up through there. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So of course it looks really weird if you're doing this for the first time with DPNs, but you want to make sure that you're still going in order. And if you kind of hold them out like we were talking about before in the beginning, you see that it's going around the square like this. And let's go to this very first stitch, and this is still just that last knit stitch. Again, we're ignoring all these other ones. You can drop off that now, and we're going to knit 2 together all the way around. And since you've knit this one, there's this one stitch it's going to have to join with here, so it's just an easy thing to just go ahead and place it onto that last DPN, and that way all your other DPNs have 4 stitches on them. Okay, so now that we've got that one, make sure that we're going to the right DPN, which is this one. You can just follow along the front of your knitting and go to the front of these and knit these together. Looks like a mess of needles, I know. Make sure you're tightening that up, and just work with this needle that's right behind this one. Try to ignore the rest of them. You can drop off that old needle and turn and go ahead and knit these 2 together. Okay, and I'm just going to have these 3 stitches here like this, and I need to work these 2 stitches together. So I'm going to just pick back up this other needle here, work these 2 together, and drop off this other one. And now I'm going to work these two together. And the next two together. Oops, dropping my stitch here. Hold on. There we go. So I've got 3 stitches on here. I'm just trying to make them a little bit more manageable. Okay, and turn. And now we have this last needle left that we got to knit stitches together with. So I'm dropping this other needle that I was just working with, and we've got a free needle. So our 5th needle is just still hanging out over here. We don't need it anymore. I'm gonna work these last 4 stitches. Here's 2 knit together, and then the last 2 knit together. Okay, and so all the way around you should have 8 stitches total. So you're just going to cut your yarn, make a nice long tail, break your yarn, cut it, and then we're just going to take our tapestry needle and we're going to go all the way through all of these stitches in the round. So coming from the last stitch, which is this one, I'm going to go into this first DPN here, and really you can slide them on this needle, this tapestry needle, just like you would a DPN if you were just moving stitches over, and drop the DPN as you go. You can even pull these through and just slide them off one by one. Pull them on through. Make sure and don't twist this last one. Make sure you're looking at the front of it. And pull those through. And then pull that off. And then you can go to the very first stitch, which is this one, and go through. And then pull it tight. And then you can go all the way in and fasten off. So you're just going to go on the inside and then weave in all your tails, and then go and weave in your beginning tail here. So your hat should look like this when you're done. This one, it's actually kind of funny. I know that this is a little bit bigger than this one, is because I actually worked this one mainly with the size 7 needles. So actually this one is the accurate size. Haha, a little bit of filmography behind the scenes, but this is what your hat should look like with the decreased or shaped top. I hope you enjoyed the Edelweiss hat. I'd love to see yours. Please tag me on Instagram at Good Knit Kisses, and I'd love to see you for the next video. Be sure and subscribe for more videos and check out our blog and newsletter. Have a great day, a happy knitting and crochet.
Thanks for joining us today, where we help you stitch your love and love your stitches. See you again soon.